So that's part one of the journey, and now we've met up with Mr. Gary Goff again.
Hello.
We're going to set off on the next part, which is up to St Abbs, eh?
North. We're going north.
How far is that from here?
North?
Yeah.
It's just in that direction, there's no distance.
He's a clever bugger, isn't he? Eh? You can see we've now reached St Abbs, and it's a beautiful little area, this absolutely stunning little harbour. Quite a challenge to photograph from actually inside the harbour itself, so it's going to be very much a case of having a scout around, see if we can find an angle to make it work. Other than that, it's going to be, if I spin you around here, you can see where Gary is out there, it's going to be out on these cliff tops up there, way up on the top there, looking back down onto the harbour at high tide, so that there's more of these rocks kind of covered, and doing more of that kind of thing, because I think actually inside this harbour area itself could be quite difficult to photograph being so up close to it, but one of those things that we're going to have to experiment and play with and see what we can find. So guys, if you can hear me above all these waves, I'm just killing a little bit of time because we actually arrived here quite early and we've got quite a lot of time to kill to get up into position up on the cliff tops there for later on, for kind of sunset times. So what I decided to do was kind of split up. Gary's gone over that way across onto where the harbour is, and he's shooting back that way, so I thought I'd come down to these rocks and see if I can make use of the water textures and patterns and all these rocks that are here as well. What I've got is I've got this set of rocks off to the left here, and if you watch when this wave hits, it just explodes off the rock face there. And then this other rock, which is just down to the right here, I'm using that to kind of balance the frame out. Then obviously in the middle of that, you're looking out towards sea and then out towards St Abbs, head out that way. So just really, it's kind of almost, not an abstracty, but it's more detail orientated kind of shot. And as you can see, I'm just focusing on the power and energy of these waves and using those to my advantage to kind of make something from it. It's quite difficult because it's quite messy, and obviously as this tide's coming in, I need to be really mindful about what's happening, so really concentrating on not looking through the viewfinder all the time so I can actually watch what's happening around me. So I've got a remote shutter release on here, I've got a 6-stop ND filter on just to get me down to the speeds that I'm looking for, and anything down to about 1/3 of a second to about 1/6 of a second, somewhere around there. Just kind of experimenting with those really to see what I can make out of them. Because obviously what I don't want to do is just get complete mush. I want to retain some of the detail in that water as it crashes over the rocks. So being really, really mindful about what's happening, I'm just going to keep shooting away, and then I think I'll retreat backwards once I've got a couple of these shots. But as you can see, the power of these waves coming in now, it's just giving me that sort of interesting element to play with. Now, just while I retreat from this area, because it's getting a bit sketchy, what I did was, just before I left, is I popped basically a 10-stop filter on and did something that I don't normally do, because I love to retain that texture and detail in water normally, but I think because the scene lends itself, it's not exactly flat, but there's not a whole lot going on in the sky or light-wise or anything like that. So I thought 20-stop filter, smooth everything out, give it that ethereal sort of feel, and do a pano instead of a 16:9 like the previous shots. Instead of retaining that detail, just smooth it out and give it that nice sort of ethereal look. And I think it worked quite well, but what I'm going to do is pop both of those shots up now. Let me know which one you prefer, the one with texture and detail or the smoothed out version. Two different shots, which one do you prefer? So hopefully you can see what I'm trying to do here. Now you can see just beyond here, I've got these two big rocks sticking out, and you see all of seabirds flying around them. And what I want to try and do with this particular shot is combine two shots. And what I mean by that is I want to take a shot for the seabirds in flight. So that means I'm taking a shot around about 1/1000th of a second, somewhere around there. ISO 1000 to get that shot. So I've taken quite a few of those images, but the next part of the shot I want to do is a long exposure for the water. And the reason by that is, or the reason for that is, is that I want to smooth all that water out as much as possible and make it simpler on the lower half of the image. Now you can see these two rocks here stick above the horizon line. And usually I would try and avoid that and either get them right above the horizon or right below the horizon, because it's a distraction otherwise. But where I actually am, I can't make it any better than I already can. So basically I'm having to put up with that as much as possible. Now, my thinking behind it is if I use the birds above, that gives a nice sort of element happening above the horizon line. And if I can simplify it below, it'll just simplify the whole image as much as possible, and that's my thinking behind it. So hopefully these images will turn out. Now what I'll do with the lower section of the image is put a 10-stop filter in and smooth it out to about 20 seconds, somewhere like that, just to give it that nice ethereal feel to it. Hopefully that'll work out, and if it has, I'll pop that image up next for you. So welcome to St Abbs Head, and as you can see, this spectacular coastline going off into the distance there, heading way up the coastline up into Scotland. Well, actually we're in Scotland anyway, obviously, but further up into Scotland, heading up towards Edinburgh off in the distance behind these cliffs. And it's just beautiful, absolutely beautiful. You've got all these shapes and patterns in the rocks, huge cliffs. You've got all this beautiful waves smashing against the sides here. We've got seabirds down in the sea below us. And we've got all this beautiful sea thrift along here, which is just lovely and vibrant at the minute. And that's what's really caught my eye for this first shot, is I really want to incorporate this sea thrift. And there's also a bit of a, almost like a ridge line follows its way all the way down and kind of leads the eye quite nicely into the scene. So I can see this working like a wide angle shot, incorporating this sea thrift. A fast shutter speed, because we're far enough away from the sea not for it to look messy and overcomplicated. So I'm going to use a faster shutter speed to freeze the motion, stop any motion in the flowers themselves, and also hopefully freeze these seabirds down on the seashore down there. Now, once I've taken this shot, what I want to do is head further down because there's a boat ramp down there, which I think will make a really interesting shot as well. But what I'm going to do is get set up first. I want to walk you through how I'm going to take this shot. I've got more time now. We're further away from the action, so I can walk you through how this is all going to work. So hopefully you can hear me with this little light breeze. It's not blowing a gale, so hopefully it's not too loud for you. I'm just going to press record on the back of here now so you can see what I'm looking at. Now, what you'll notice is, number one, it's really dark, and you'll say, well, why is that? Well, the reason for it is I'm shooting right into the sun. The sun's quite high still above. Now, the thing I like about it is we're getting rays coming down. So the thing I'm having to actually do is underexpose by quite a lot. Now, looking at it now, I'm underexposing by 3 stops. And the reason for that is I don't want any of that sky to lose detail and blow out. So I'm doing 2 things. I'm taking a shot with 3 stops under for the sky, just to retain all that detail. And then I'll grab that shot now while we're talking. And then what I'll do is I'll brighten the scene up and you'll see what I'm looking at. I'm going to take another shot for the landscape itself, for all these beautiful flowers, sea thrift in the lower section of the image, and the light that's hitting the cliffs, and the light that's actually hitting the green of the grass which is on the sides here. It's been illuminated really quite nicely, so I want to bring that exposure up. I've got a circular polarizer on and I'm just adjusting that, not to take all the glare off the water, but just take a bit of the sheen. Because it's so bright with the sun coming down towards me, I'm getting that real sort of band of bright light there. So I want to reduce that as much as possible because it's going to be quite distracting. So I'm going to adjust that and get rid of it as much as possible, and then I'll take a shot. Now you'll notice where my focus points are. If I just let that take a shot now, the focus point is down on the left side of that image. It's a 4:3 aspect ratio. I've got it on that rock, that sea stack that's just leading in from where that boat ramp is, you know, the one I'm going to go down to next. It's just leading in from that rock there. I've got this cliff, this sea stack off to the right, and I didn't want to kind of cut that off, so I've opened it up enough so you can see the sea, the gap between. And then obviously in the distance there you've got that coastline running its way along and through. Now what I wanted to do is retain as much of that as possible, so I want that beautiful light left there, but obviously having to take the 2 shots to really make sure that I get the best of both worlds, because I really don't want to lose that sky. So I'm going to take another shot for the landscape now, because the light's really quite nice on the flowers and everything. And then I'm going to take another shot again, just adjusting that exposure to about 3 stops under, and you'll see the histogram is just off the edge there. I'm going to take the same shot again, keeping the focus point in the same place, and then what I'll be able to do is blend both of those in post. So you disappeared down below where that boat ramp was, and that's where I was about to head, but the sky is really, really harsh even now. And what time are we on now? It's 6:30.
Yes, it's not worth it, 6:30.
6:30, and it's still quite harsh, so...
No, this is a mid-morning shot, this really is when the sun's up there lighting up. But that's not why we're here though, is it? We're going on further.
Yeah,
this
we're going on further. It was a stopgap. But I couldn't resist because of all this lovely sea thrift and everything here, and that it was a battle because I had to kind of go 3 stops under to make anything of that sky because it was so bright.
Yeah.
But I really wanted to take the shot anyway, just in case. But I don't think I'm going to bother going down there, and not unless the sky changes a bit. I
just went down there and it was just awful. From lower down, you're looking further up, so the sky's so imperative in the shot. It's just horrible, horrible.
So maybe it might be a case of either seeing what it does a little bit later on, because we're going to head further up now, aren't we? And then see what happens.
But we've had this conversation before, though, haven't we? Is what's really annoying is that what you can see, because human beings don't, it's physically impossible for us to see anything that's overexposed.
Yeah.
The light kicking off the tops of the mountains over there on the green grass looks incredible. And yet it's so difficult to translate that to a picture when the light is so bad. And it's such a shame, isn't it?
It is.
Because it looks okay, but we're not taking the pictures because we know how bad that light is.
And that's why the best you can really do in those situations is to take 2 shots, one for the sky, one for the foreground, and blend it. But even then, it's so harsh, it's quite difficult to do.
Yeah. Before we go, I want to grab a quick shot down. Do you know what? I don't even know if it's worthwhile doing. Maybe, I tell you what might work. If we go up to the lighthouse and grab the lighthouse shot now, when we stay there for sunset, if we end up with a sky like we have done for the past 2 nights, which is off the scale, beautiful, red, just on fire, then this might well work then. So we could actually run our asses back down here.
Yeah, might be worth it, eh?
And take a picture.
Because it's a beautiful scene, it's a beautiful coastline, that's for sure.
Oh, unbelievable. Unbelievable. And yet I've passed it so many times and I haven't stopped to take a picture yet. But I don't want to take a picture and then not do it any justice.
Yeah, exactly.
Because otherwise I won't want to come back, and I don't like that.
So guys, we've made our way up onto the top now, and obviously you can see here, there's the lighthouse just over here. And I'm going to try and make something of that. Well, I was going to head over this way if I spin you round to where you can just see Gary that way. Over on that headland, way over there is where the harbour is, on the other side of there. Now it's quite a walk, and as you can see, I'm not convinced about this light at the minute. It's just, I think it could be a trip for another day. We've just discussed it. There's a couple of areas we'd probably like to come back and do another video on, actually. So that might be one of them over that way in better light, because I'd hate to go all the way over there, because the harbour shot looks quite nice from up above, from what I can tell. I'd hate to go and do it an injustice, really, and get it in better light. That's what I think. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and get a couple of shots with this lighthouse here, and then I'm also going to head further over the other side there and see if there's a couple of shots heading out up towards Edinburgh direction again, seeing whether we can make anything of that. So I'm going to head over that way, over towards the lighthouse, and let's see what we can find. Now with this shot, you can see what I've done here. It's an obvious shot. You can see it's straightforward. Just use these leading lines of these rails and the walls themselves leading down to the lighthouse itself, looking out to sea. Obviously the sky is not fantastic. I wish there was a little bit more colour there. It would have made a far nicer shot. But working with what I have, that's what there is at the minute. And there is a little bit of colour there, so what I think I might do after taking this shot is head down over to the other side of the lighthouse there and see if I can get a shot looking back, and hopefully the sky's a little bit more interesting. Now before I actually left that scene down there, it was a pretty obvious scene, so I didn't really walk you through it. But I tried putting a 6-stop filter on just to slow that water right down and make it smooth and sort of simplify the scene. And I'd be really interested to find out which one you prefer, the faster shutter speed or the slower one. So I'm just going to walk you through this next shot because I haven't got much time, and I haven't got time to get the camera set up with the screen on the back. So as you can see, I've got these cliffs leading down into the sea from the right here. You've got the sun setting way back there, and also the hills of Scotland back there. You've got a factory off to the left-hand side of the frame, and I'm using, you can just see there, a bit of a strip pano, focusing in that first sort of section of land in the lower section of the frame. You can see I've got the sea around the middle of the frame there, and then the sky above, adding that little bit of pop of colour. It's I've at ISO 3200 because I'm at 1/60th of a second. I'm 2 stops under, just making doubly sure I'm not blowing anything out in the sky. Just going to grab that shot, 2-second timer, and hopefully that should be the shot. Nice, simple, but I love the colour in it. Well, I think that could be it tonight. As you can see, the light is fading fast and the sun is just poking through a little sliver just back there. But that's pretty much all we have, and I don't think it's going to do a whole fantastic lot, so I think that could be it for tonight. Been a fantastic day though, really good day out with Gary again. Great to meet up, and I think this is definitely somewhere to come back and explore further, because it's got so much potential, especially that shot where I shot earlier, looking right the way along the coastline. I think in the right conditions, early morning light, that could be fantastic. Anyway, thanks for joining us, guys. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you on the next video soon. Take care. Bye bye.